Hi guys, how's it going? Today I want to show you how to create a APA jail hard disk for your PlayStation 2. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm basically showing you how to format this drive in a way that your PlayStation 2 and your computer can recognize. So you can copy games to the hard drive without any weird or special tool, and then you can pop it into your PlayStation 2 and run OPL straight from the hard disk and without a need of a memory card. I think this is the best and most straightforward way to do this. The only way to achieve this is with Linux. So you're gonna need a Linux distro, preferably Linux Mint or Ubuntu. It's also okay, it's gonna work. And yeah, let's go straight into it. All right, so we are on Linux Mint right now. And as you can see, my disk is mounted. So this drive has 500 gigabyte. And as you can see, it's mounted on dev SDA. This is very important as we going to need this to install our exploit. So I have packed everything you need conveniently in this hdd-preload. We're gonna need this later. But first of all, we're gonna need these two. This is the script itself, and these are the dependencies for it. So it's called the exploits pack. Links are in the description. What you want to do is navigate to your home folder where your music and picture and documents are. And you take the decryption helper until you get to the PS2 folder. And then you drop the PS2 folder inside of your home directory. The scripts contained in this folder are hard-coded to run from the home directory. So yeah, if you're gonna copy it somewhere else, they're not gonna work. So we're gonna close this. We're gonna open the apps folder. We're gonna open the exploits pack and copy the exploits folder inside of apps. There you go. So this has been done. This is set up. Last thing we're going to do as a preparation kind of thing is to install the tools. To do so, we open a terminal window like so. Open terminal, and it's going to be right there on home, which is tilde, and then PS2. Once we are in this directory, we can launch the tools installer like so, and it's going to ask us what kind of install we want to use, and we're going to choose one with precompiled homebrew, and then we're going to press enter. Then you put your password in, and there you go. I have installed the stuff already, and I didn't want to deinstall it again just for the tutorial, but there's nothing complex about it. It's just gonna take a bit longer in your case, and if you run it again, it's gonna say that none of them has been upgraded or installed. That means all the tools are ready to go. So we press enter, and now we can run all of these scripts right here. But before we do that, we have to disable a function inside of Linux that mounts, or better said, a service that automatically mounts our drives, because if we don't do that, we're gonna have issues later. So in order to do that, you're gonna have to insert a command, and the command is sudo systemctl, so system control, stop udisks2. So that's the first thing. As you can see now, the disks are not being mounted anymore and are not visible. Now we press arrow up. We change stop with disable, because if we don't, they're gonna be mounting themselves again later. So now we can proceed. So I'm gonna clear the console, and the first script you want to run is the HDD formatter. So /PS2, then tab HDD formatter. There you go. And we want the option number 4. Like I said, APA jail. We're gonna have a mix of APA and MBR or GPT. It doesn't matter. You can use MBR if your drive is until like tinier than 2 terabyte, and you have to use GPT if your disk is bigger than that. But you don't have to use it if it has a lower capacity. You can use it on a 500 gigabit drive. It's no problem. And that's what I'm gonna do. So let's press 4. And it's gonna ask you wanna use a MBR or you can use a GPT. And LBA48 is the newer APA standard, which is okay in our case. Of course, you can use other formatting, APA-HL. You can convert a drive to be APA-HL if it's on APA already. In this case, your drive is empty, so we're gonna format it in GPT mode because it's the newer standard and it's good enough. So we press B and we press enter. Now it's very important. You gotta use the right drive because, for example, my operative system is on this drive, and if I would choose to install it here, it's gonna wipe all of my system. So please be careful and make sure that the drive you're gonna use is indeed the one and not another one. So in my case, I'm 100% sure that this is the drive, and because I know that ST is the Seagate and I have just one Seagate in my system, that's pretty easy, straightforward. I know it's 465 gig. I mean, it's a no-brainer in my case, but in your case, maybe not that straightforward. So please make sure it's the right disk. So we're gonna type dev SDA, and it's gonna be dev SDA from now on. So because we gotta put this many times through this installation. So after typing that, we press enter and then enter again. All right, it's gonna take a while. It's going to create the APA partition first, and you're also going to see the name of the partitions as well as soon as they pop up. There you go. You have MBR, net system, sysconf, command, recovery, and plus OPL. Note, this plus OPL is not the partition we're going to use to copy our games. This is just a standard partition for OPL to work. So now the script is going forward, and the exFAT has been formatted as well. And there we go. Our disk is done. We press enter again, and now we have 2 partitions in our drive. So what we want to do is to run the HDD exploiter, because we want to put a launcher or an exploit that allows us to run OPL. So to do so, we do almost the same as before, but we change formatter with exploiter, and we run it pressing enter. The exploit we want to use for this is the PS2 basic bootloader or PS2 BBL. and this is on number 7, so 7 and then enter. And we want a variant, we don't want FHDB, we don't need that. So, we press A. Now again, dev SDA, and as you can see, you now have 2 partitions. You have SDA1 and SDA2. SDA1 is 2.2 gigs, and this is the APA partition. So under the SDA1 are all the partitions I showed you before. Now I'm not able to show them to you, but these are the partitions I showed, the script showed while it was running. And they are hidden inside this partition. And then we have an SDA2, which is labeled OPL by default. And this is the big partition where all your ISO files are gonna go with your games. So what we wanna do is to type again, dev SDA without numbers, just dev SDA, enter and then enter again. This is gonna be very quick, and it's gonna copy all the PSBLL files over to this partition. This partition to be exact. All right, so we want to see the fruit of our labor. So we're going to mount the hard drive. To do so, we run PS2 HDD mounter. So let's see what happens when I press enter. It's going to ask me again what kind of partition I want to mount. In this case, this is an APA jail, so we press 1 and then enter. Again, dev SDA, enter. And as you can see, you get all the partitions of your APA mounted, and you can navigate into them, which is also something that is not, it used not to be possible in the past, you know? But now you can just as easily surf inside of them. Another way to surf inside those directories, or better said, partitions, is to go inside your PS2 folder, so home, PS2. Then you can go under storage, HDD, and these are the directories that mount those partitions, because on Linux it works like that. You always have a directory where you mount your partitions. So the partitions we are going to need is sysconf. Under sysconf you have PS2 BBL, and inside PS2 BBL is going to be a config file. The original config file is very complex and there is a lot of stuff, so I made my own, and it's here under hdd-preload sysconf PS2 BBL. So we're gonna replace it. Oh wait, let me copy it over so we can replace it. And as you can see, it's stripped down to the bare minimum. And as you can see, it's automatically gonna load OPL as a first option. If it's not finding it, it's gonna search it in the memory card in the OPL folder. If it's not gonna be there, it's gonna search it in the mass, so in your USB. And if you press R1, you can launch boot elf or uLauncher. And same thing, if it doesn't find it, memory card. If it doesn't find it, mass. If you press select, you're gonna go in test mode, start for OSD system, etc. I set a wait time of 2,500 milliseconds. I don't like to skip the PS2 logo. I want that to be there, so I set it on 0. But you can customize this however you want. If you don't want to customize it, then you can now close it. And next thing you want to do is copy your apps over. So you go to hdd-preload, sysconf, you take the apps folder, you copy it and you paste it here. So in apps folder, I already put OPL. Different versions, you have the 120 beta, which is the official OPL, but the beta version. And then you have the unofficial OPL, which is the one I have configured to work, and it's my favorite version. And also other version of uOPL that you may want. This one right here is the version with, let me see where it is, with extra features, but also PadEmu. So I think it's this one, PadEmu extra features. And it's this version. So if you want a newer version, just download it from the website, from the GitHub. And oh no, it's not on GitHub. It's on, you can Google it up, uOPL download, and it's gonna be like the first, but it's not being developed right now. So this should be the latest version. And that's basically it. So yeah, I also put some other tools and FreeMac boot tools in case you'll ever need it. And this is also pretty neat. And yeah, memory card annihilator, you can make backups of your memory card using that. And to launch this, you need ULE. So that's why ULE is right there. And basically you're done. I mean, the first part of the exploit is installed and it's ready to go. What you want to do now is to unmount the drive. So we delete the last part of this and we use the unmounter script. We exit the directory, and if I press enter, and then again dev, let me show you again. Here are all the partitions mounted. So if I, again, dev SDA, enter, there you go. Now, if we go to storage HDD, no folder is going to be in there. And if there is no folder in here, you did everything correctly. So we can go back and press enter again. So now we want to access the GPT partition to copy our games over. This is all we were waiting for, right? So in order to do that, usually it's enough to start the udisk service. And if you're lucky, which we are not, you should have a OPL device right there, you know. And for some reason it's not showing. I don't know why that happens, but if that doesn't work, you just re-enable udisk, press enter, and you restart your system. This is the fastest way. Probably there is another way to do this, but restarting was the easiest way for me. So let's restart, pressing or typing reboot, and we see us after the restart. All right, great. We're back into the system. If we open an Explorer folder, we can see our devices are back there, and this is our OPL partition with all our OPL folders. So what you want to do now is copy your games into either a CD or DVD folder. So for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to access my NAS. And, well, of course. And I have an OPL structure in there too. We're going to copy a tiny game just to show you how it's done onto OPL DVD. It's going to take a while because my NAS is not started. So there you go. And after that, you're good to go. You copy all your games, whatever they belong to. If you want to do things pretty, you can boot into Windows and OPL Manager, then set the directory to whatever letter Windows is going to assign to this, let's say D or E or F, and it's going to recognize the OPL folder structure, and it's going to recognize the ISO files inside there, and you can download all the art, the covers of the games, and so on and so forth. Another, or let's say the last thing you want to do before you disconnect the drive is open the file I made for you, which is under hdd-preload uOPL. And this is a config file for OPL. So basically this file tells OPL how it should behave. And of course you can configure this stuff yourself, but it's easier if you use this config file. So what you want to do is copy it and paste it right there. And you're done. That's all you have to do. Don't forget to eject your drive before doing anything else. So if you're done, always unmount it using this function, because if you don't, you may corrupt the file system. So we go ahead and do that. Okay, then now we're ready to disconnect our drive and plug it into our PS2. All right, so this is not the drive I use in the tutorial. This is 1 terabyte, but I use the same config files and the same everything. The only difference is that, yeah, it's bigger and the games are inside. The whole arts are already inside, so I'm gonna plug it in here and gonna hook it up to my CRT, and then I'm gonna show you how it looks like. Alrighty, so it's time to boot up. Let's see what happens. So you get the boot screen, the standard one. And then you gotta get a black screen, that's normal. It's gonna take a bit. There you go, PS2 BBL. And you can see, for a tiny fraction of a second, you're gonna get a green path of your OPL, and that's what you're gonna get. There you go. My phone is not that well on filming 50 FPS, but that's what you're gonna get. So that's it. Oh, I can show you how to launch WLE if you want to. So we take the controller right there, and you got a time when you can press R1. It's almost like a booting into the BIOS of your PC. You gotta R1. You can spam it, or you can be like timing it perfectly. And it should launch. There you go. That's WLE. Let me see if I can show it to you better. There you go. Launch ELF. And you can do whatever you want in Launch ELF as well. File browser and whatever. So that's it. This is how you do it. And thanks for watching. And happy gaming.